Hi guys, this is Glorious Revolution 01 here, and I'm going to be giving you a complete live show guide. This is going to take you from the beginning to the end. So from buying a horse to putting it on the table. Everything you possibly think of. Alright, so let's get started. This is part 1 of 3 parts. It's going to include your horse book, what is LSQ references, and how shows are organized. So let's get started. First of all, when you buy a horse, you're going to want to put it in your horse book. You see, mine's really thick. Even if you don't plan to show them, I would make a page in here for them so that you would know, I have this horse. Alright, so what do these pages tell us? You can see here, this is for Asgardian Mischief, who's way over there. Way over there. My Peter Stones. Alright. Has his picture. You can see it has both sides of him. And a middle picture. It has his show name and his barn name, as well as gender, because usually that has to go on your tags, so it's good to have that here. As well as his breed, and you see that I left a lot of room for his breed in case it changes. That's why I didn't type it, because all this can change if I wanted to. And then also if I tell if he needs a reference. So that lets me know I need to make a reference for this horse. And then date acquired, so you can say I got him Christmas 2012. And make and company name. This is really important to keep, especially for Peter Stones. For if you're thinking of showing in collectability at any time. Plus, I like to just know what they used to be called and how many there are. For the record, you can see he hasn't been shown, so he has no record. But for a horse that has been shown, as Mila Fire has, you can see that I put the show name, Hollow Horse Live, the date, year, what he placed as, and his breed that I put him in. I'm thinking of adding class too, just so I can have all that information together. You can also see that I have pouches here, and that is because, so I can put their ribbons, so you can see you got a 4th place ribbon, and his reference that I've made for him already. So it's just really nice to have, so you can have all your ribbons together and you won't lose them and you won't forget which one goes with which horse. It's all together. And then also I organize my books by, first of all, by make. So this is my Peter Stones. These are my traditionals. These are my Peter Stones, and they're in the order of what the class list would go. You eventually figure this out. So like light breeds, sport breeds, then you move into your other breeds. So here we have Briar Foals, and it goes to light breeds, my Malwari, Arabians, Thoroughbreds, Warm Bloods, lots of Warm Bloods, Spanish, I think there was Gaited in there somewhere. There's Gaited, stock, quarter horse paint kind of stuff. Lots of those. Mustangs. Here's my carriage horses. I put them back here. And then my drafts. And finally my ponies. So, and then I also have things for my stablemates. And one really cool thing about having these pouches too is if you say, oh, I'm looking at this breed and I think I need to change it. Then you can just take a sticky note, tag breed on there, so you know you need to change that breed or come up with it. So he doesn't have one yet, so you need to come up with it. So it's just a really neat little book to put together all your stuff. I love it. I'm kind of OCD about it. Alright, so when you're looking at this book, once you finally made it for all your horses, you need to decide who is LSQ and who is not. It's a very, very thin, fine line. It has a lot of opinions in it. But there are definitely some do's and don'ts. First of all, you want to make sure that an LSQ horse doesn't have too many flaws. My Zenyatta here has way too many flaws. So, what are these flaws? Flaws are like unfixable and totally stand out. So for instance, I don't know if you can tell it in the camera. There you go. You can see her face has been fixed with Sharpie. Don't fix with Sharpie. Okay? I'm going to show you how to fix in part 2 to make it so it doesn't stand out like that. Okay? You can also tell it on her hip. that shiny spot, that's Sharpie. And it stands out in real life so bad, it makes her not LSQ. Her dapples are also really terrible. You can't tell them because she's so dark. And then there's a lot of overspray on her hooves. So it's not clean masking. That's what we call it when they put tape over the white to keep it from getting painted. So it's not clean masking. That can really take off too. Plus she has tons of rubs everywhere and anywhere. So she is definitely not LSQ. Alright? Now there are other ways a horse can be LSQ. For instance, Breyer has a lot of older models, like my Erin Go Bragh here. And he's a cute little pony, and he has great shading. He really does. But you can see he's from an older mold. So he doesn't have the clean lines of the newer ones. His ears are kind of misshapen. His conformation's kind of meh. His tail's kind of pooky. Now I'm not saying that this model couldn't be shown. I'm just saying he has a definite less likely chance of winning. Plus there's a lot of overspray there. So he probably won't win for you. Which to my mind means he's not LSQ. He's a great horse. I still love him. I'm keeping him. It's my cat, by the way. But he's not LSQ for me. Another reason why a horse may not be LSQ is the mold. The mold can be different. Now Breyer is guilty of this many, many times. Really quick, I'm going to run through these. First is Esprit. I see a lot of these on the tables. He is a beautiful horse. I mean, look at that. He's beautiful and he's really nice. But he has conformation problems. His shoulder is totally detached from his body. It just looks wrong when you really look at it. And that muscle is kind of weird. I don't even know if it really exists like that. So, although he's a beautiful, beautiful mold, and they've done some great paint jobs on him, he's not LSQ, in my mind, because his conformation is so bad. I also see a lot of Successions, and you'd think Succession looks great, but she's not. Why, you ask? Because she has recently given birth, so she's made to look like, so she's swayed back, very swayed back. She has a big round belly. She's actually really, she's kind of skinny, but from this she looks fat. And then the biggest thing is her head. If you look at her head from straight on, this is straight, guys. Her eyes are totally off balance. Not to mention mine has a seam split in the middle. So that means she's not LSQ. Unless you're in a junior class, your Succession probably won't place. Even no matter how good of a shading she has. You see mine has fantastic shading. She would never place. Especially with the weather girls out. And finally, we have Smoke. Make-A-Wish, Oasis, whatever you want to call them. There's many versions. And most people know this one by now. She has a flat, fat leg with a teeny tiny hoof. Teeny tiny hooves. Alright, so that's why her mold is not LSQ. So I know that was really quick, and that's just some examples. There are tons of other examples you can use. But just keep that in mind. Alright, so I'm going to have to keep going really quick. So now we're going to move on to references. So you found out that your horse is LSQ, and you need to see if he needs a reference. I only make references for most of my horses. You may not. It's up to you. For instance, I even do one for Andalusians, and it's proven to be a good practice for me. The number one thing about references is do not just open your book, take a book like this, and put it down. I don't care how small the book is or how tightly it's put together, it shows a lack of care on your part. It's a lot for the judge to read, it takes up space on the table, it makes you look bad, it's just not a good idea. So, I would make a card about this size. So this is about the size of a giant index card. And I don't know if you can tell, but I make mine look really snazzy because it shows that I care. And I put the name of the horse on the back. So this is Imbar Monteses. And put the breed on top. And I go through the extra trouble of making sure that my pictures show exactly what my horse is going to look like. So for this picture you can see it's almost the exact position of my Albarosa from the back. So, that's really good, and this shows his stockiness of his barrel. So you can see there his stocky barrel. And then I go through and I put a little bit about the background, very, very short. And it's really just for the judge's interest. Plus I like to look it up. And then I have the characteristics. And I usually describe the horse because my neat little book here does a very good job of telling me the characteristics of a horse. So I put some of those. So like a short back, deep chest, long neck, yeah. And then I make sure to put the colors right there. And sometimes I put the height if it's of interest. This is what's going to sell your horse. You need to make sure this matches your horse, or at least allows for your horse to exist. If it says no Appaloosas, do not show an Appaloosa Andalusian. It's not going to work. So, just a quick note on that. And when you go to the show, you may wonder where you put this. You put it right in front of your horse, like that. So it's right there next to him. Alright, and these just show that you've done your research, and it just gives your horse a better chance of winning. Alright, so now you're finally ready to sign up for the show. Usually most shows do online payments, and you just send in an information form. And sometimes you need to stay in a hotel. No worries. And so now I'm going to talk about really quick how shows are organized. Most shows have divisions. The show I'm going to is Hollow Horse Live, which is an all halter class show. So there's no performance, no workmanship, and it's just halter. So they're usually divided by brand. So this is Original Finish Briar, Original Finish Other Make, which means like Skeletch, Original Mini, Original Finish Mini, Plastic, so stablemates and that kind of thing, Original Finish Stone, Customs, Artist Resins, you name it. So you have these, and then each of these divisions is given a ring. Usually you can find these all on the website or in the show packet. Show packets tell you everything you need to know, and I highly recommend that you print it out. This is the one for my class. It tells you about entry fee, class limits, so for this show, for instance, you can only have 4 models per class, or you have to pay 50 cents per entry extra. And it tells you what to put on your tags. It tells you about the awards and all kinds of other things. And then towards the end, usually, it tells you what rings the divisions will be in. And if I can get to it, it usually gives you an entry form as well as the classes. So you have the divisions up here, and each division is divided into groups. So for instance, the foal group, and then each group is divided into classes. So light sport breed, stock breed, and other breed are all in the foal group. So if you win a first or second place ribbon in any of these classes, you will go up when they call for foal champion. If your horse wins first or second and foal champion, you'll go to division champion in the very end. And if you win that, then usually they have a best in show. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so how do you do your class list? This is how to do mine. I have what division it is, the time it starts, because usually there's a morning and afternoon in each ring, and the ring it's in. Then I have the class name, the horse's name, their breed, and if they have a reference. I do this so I don't forget my references, because I have a tendency to do that, because I have a lot of them, as you can see right there. Okay. Alright, and then I also check, this check means that the horse is ready to be packed and is good to go. Tagged, everything ready. So I have my class list together. Oh, and then sometimes if you don't want to pay for the extra horse in a class, for instance, if I had another horse in my other breed foals, then I could look at one of these foals and say, could any of these foals be a stock breed foal? And if they could, I could switch it around, change breeds, so I wouldn't have to pay that extra 50 cents. Just a little tip there. Alright, so I have my references, my class list, I know the horses I'm taking, and I know how shows work. That's part 1 of my show guide, and I hope you'll stay in tune for part 2, where we go from shelf to box with your horses. Thanks so much for watching, and please feel free to comment with any questions you may have, and I'll answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you!